USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. 8 configuraciones diferentes, intensidad ajustable, además es calefaccionado. Y se siente tan bien. Sí, una silla de masajes puede parecer extravagante. Y 2, bueno, aún más. Pero cuando esas sillas de masajes vienen con un auto, se vuelven bastante prácticas. El nuevo Volkswagen Tiguan 2025 con funciones premium como los asientos delanteros con masaje disponibles. Solo parece extravagante.
Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork and make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Shop the Ninja Luxe Cafe at ninjakitchen.com.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
You set the table, put on a playlist, even made the lasagna from scratch. And now you're wearing it. OxyClean Max Force Spray tackles tough, set-in stains the first time. Adulting is hard. Fighting stains shouldn't be. OxyClean Max Force. It's not clean unless it's OxyClean.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Hello, and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Austin, also known as Teacup.
And my name is Shelby, also known as She-Cup.
Join us as we embark on unraveling all of your favorite mysteries from the Assassin's Creed universe. From assassins to Templars to the mysterious Isu and more. We will seek to uncover it all, so join us and maybe even take a leap of faith.
Hello, and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby, or She-Cup, and I'm super excited to be here today to continue our series on Pieces of Eden. And I'm joined here with my co-host, Austin.
Yeah, welcome. I'm Austin, also known as Teacup, here for the Assassin's Creed.
Here for the Assassin's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we're talking about Shrouds of Eden today. We've talked about apples, we've talked about swords, and we've talked about
Staves.
Thank you. So we're moving on to Shrouds of Eden. Are there a lot of these like apples or fewer like the swords?
Fewer. Definitely fewer. And we have a good deal, but not as much about the others. So this might be a little shorter episode, but enough for a good amount of content and discussion.
Cool. All right. Well, are you ready to get into it, or do you have other things to say?
Let's get into it. So we're going to start with a general overview and powers. So the Shroud is a cloth-like piece of Eden designed by the Isu Consus to heal wounds. Now, this is interesting because it is the first piece of Eden that doesn't have this like special Isu metal. So it's cloth-like, which is the first one we've really seen about that. It uses nanotech technology to repair wounds and like cells like at a cellular level, which is very, very advanced.
So this is a healing piece of Eden.
Correct.
So this is straight away, this is significantly different from the other three because it's not an offensive piece of Eden.
Correct.
That's a big deal.
It's not the only one that's not offensive.
But so far that we have discussed.
Yes. The original Shroud, so the first Shroud, contained the mind of Consus. So it can heal any wound as when in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, in the boss fight, Crawford Starrick, who's the Templar Grand Master, he wears the shroud, and like Jacob and Evie like stab him, shoot him, do all of these things, and he like heals right away while he's wearing the shroud. It also gives advanced strength, so like Starrick is very easily able to fend off Jacob and Evie. Despite rumors and mythology around it, the shroud could not perform resurrection. However, it is said that it could reanimate corpses for a short period of time, but those corpses would always succumb back to death. The shroud could also cause extreme hallucinations and is even known to tear apart the bodies of its user. So there's the bad thing.
So it does still have some offensive like technology, but it is primarily used defensively.
Right. And particularly there's a difference between the first shroud, which contains the mind of Consus, and other shrouds. And so like the one that contains Consus's mind is a little more offensive because it has an agenda and it's a little more sentient. You ready to get into some known shrouds?
Sure.
All right. Well, so shroud number 1. This is the first shroud, the shroud that's created by Consus, and that also contains his mind. During the Isu rebellion, during the time that the first big like solar flare is about to happen, Juno takes the shroud from Consus to use it in research for her plan to try to stop it. That also involves the enslavement of humanity. So that's interesting. This artifact is also the fabled Golden Fleece, which is also said to be able to cure any wound, which is recovered by the Greek hero Jason. And so this is the shroud that's used there. In 42 BCE, so this is the time of origins, the Hidden Ones used the shroud on Brutus, who had committed suicide after the aftermath with Mark Antony. He awoke for a brief moment before succumbing to a second death.
Interesting.
Now we're jumping about 1300, a little over 1300 years now. The shroud came under the possession of the Templar Order. The Italian Brotherhood steals the shroud and hides it in Monteriggioni, later relocated to Longuio, which is another Italian city. So we see that kind of the shroud is now appearing to the Italian Brotherhood before Ezio. So like probably around the time that Mario and Giovanni are getting their start. It's hidden in Monteriggioni, but is then taken away. Fast forward about 600 years. During the 19th century, the shroud comes in contact with William Robert Woodman, who is communicating with Consus. By 1944, the Bagatani family had the shroud. The Templar agent Keith Scipion brought the artifact and brought it to their front company, Abstergo Industries. So by the end of World War II, Abstergo has this original shroud. I'll give you a hint. It's not a good thing.
Well, it never is when Abstergo has something.
Right, exactly. So in 2011, Abstergo began studying the shroud with the Phoenix Project, which had the goal of unlocking the Isu genome, or creating it, or coding it, doing whatever, trying to create an Isu, which just sounds terrible.
Why? Just why? That's the dumbest thing I have ever heard.
So the Phoenix Project is basically their desire to recreate an Isu. Knowing this, the assassins attack the research facility and the shroud is destroyed in the process. So here is, yes, go ahead.
Is it actually destroyed, or is it seemingly destroyed?
It is confirmed destroyed.
Okay, thank you.
Which is just funny to me because I feel like the people who want to destroy the pieces of Eden don't destroy the pieces of Eden. Like they're really bad at destroying pieces of Eden when they're trying. But Abstergo, who wants all these pieces of Eden for their own experiments and power, they destroy them left and right. They destroyed 2 apples. They destroyed a staff. They destroyed a shroud. Like
if these artifacts are so mysterious and so powerful, how the heck does Abstergo have the ability to destroy so many?
I think it kind of comes into that they're pushing them to their limits. So like they're trying to push them, like see how far they can push them, and that causes them to be destroyed.
Well, that makes total sense.
Yeah. It's also that assassins are also sabotaging their experiments. So they're also destroying them. But yeah. And so just briefly, like, what do you think about like the Shroud so far?
I think it's really interesting that it's got totally different powers than the others, and that it is a healing piece of Eden.
Right.
And I think it makes total sense that they would have something like that. But I feel like it's silly for the Isu to let this get into the hands of humanity.
Right. I think that's an interesting point about like where we go, is that like it's commonly thought that Jesus of Nazareth had a shroud with him, but the shroud doesn't contain the power of resurrection. Like once the threshold has been crossed into death, it can bring you back, kind of, but not really. It very much reminds me of the resurrection stone in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I definitely see that about the resurrection stone.
So it's just interesting to me. Like, I'm surprised that the Templars haven't gone after this quicker, because it makes them like, I feel like immortality would be something that they would be after. Like,
yes. So is it ever said in game like Jesus Christ had a shroud? Like, how is that something we know?
In the Subject 16 files in Assassin's Creed 2, I believe we see that Jesus had a piece of Eden. And Almolin says that, he says, with this, a lowly carpenter turned water to wine. And so there's always been this thing that Jesus had a piece of Eden. And so I think there's been a lot of assumption of like, oh, well, it's said that he rose from the dead, so he must have a shroud.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I guess mainly like my issues with that are that, with the exception of this one, all of the other ones, they have some kind of like violence associated with them. So I guess I understand that people would want, like, they would not want to associate Jesus with him being violent. And so they would just say, okay, well, he had a shroud then. That's the only one that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right. That totally does make sense. I also come to the point of like this, I feel like feeds into my headcanon that some of the pieces of Eden were made to assist humanity. I think the Shroud could potentially be one of them.
Say more. Like, what specifically about it makes you
so Isu are super strong. They have powers, and they have all these pieces of Eden that let them do amazing things. So the sword is like the ultimate weapon against the Isu, because it grants the user eagle vision. It grants the user like the ability to like inspire people and break enslavement, and makes them immune to staffs and apples. So that's like the perfect offensive weapon. And then like, to me, the Shroud is the perfect shield for humanity, because no matter what the Isu do with their pieces of Eden, the Shroud can heal those wounds.
Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, I think that's an interesting kind of point. Anything else about the first Shroud?
I think it's really creepy. Is this the first Shroud? This is the one that contained the mind of Consus. I don't like that. That makes me uncomfortable. What though? Like, do we see that in a game? Like, how does the Shroud? How does the mind leave the Shroud?
It doesn't leave the Shroud. So
it's still there.
It's destroyed. So
if this shroud was not destroyed, the mind of Consus would still be in it.
Correct. Whoever holds it is able to communicate with Consus, but like communicating with an Isu is not, especially from like a mental area, is not something that normally leaves someone with their sanity.
But I thought all the Isu were dead.
Yes, they are kind of dead, but also not really. Their minds, and they linger in a way, but there's more to that.
Okay.
Well, I think it's a good time for our break now.
Lowe's knows tough jobs call for tougher tools. The new DeWalt Elite Series power tool accessories are built to last, for the pro who doesn't stop. With precision fitment, durability, and impact resistance, finishing jobs faster has never been easier. Shop the new DeWalt Elite Series at an everyday low price, exclusively at Lowe's. We help, you save.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Ma cos'è? Shoot! Shoot a flying demon!
Malaka! Malaka! Malaka!
Even now, faced as I am with the truth of your cold words, I refuse, because I believe things can still change. I may never succeed. The assassins may struggle another 1,000 years in vain, but we will not stop.
Yes, it is a great time for our break. So this is the middle section of the show where I give you all the news and all the updates and all that kind of fun stuff. So the first thing I have to do is to thank you guys, to thank you for all of the reviews and all of that kind of stuff that you guys give us. But also I have to thank our very first patron. So our very first patron is AFK Hunter, who just joined in the last week. We just actually even launched our very first Patreon. So this is really new. So thank you so much, AFK Hunter, for being our first Master Assassin tier patron. This tier is the one where you can come on the show and join us. So we'll be having patron episodes very soon. So if you want to come on the show and join us and we can talk about all different kinds of things, make sure you sign up on the Patreon, and that link is in the episode description. We also want to thank you guys for all the great reviews you leave us. We're so thankful. We are trying really hard to get to 100 plus reviews on Spotify, or I guess I should say ratings on Spotify. We're super close right now. We have like 97 or something the last time I checked. But we also have a new review on Apple as well. And so I'm going to read that one out right now. And this one is from Jordan. And Jordan says, one of your newest listeners, 5 stars. Hey guys, I've been listening to you since this Monday and I'm already caught up. And I love you guys. Can't wait to hear more from you. I've been playing since Assassin's Creed Odyssey because I was a huge sucker for Greek mythology. If you guys ever have any questions regarding that area, I will try to help you. Thank you so much, Jordan. We're so excited that you left us this awesome review. Thank you. And we will definitely hit you up if we have any questions about Greek mythology. So thank you for that review. And if you also want to leave a review, you can leave a review with words on Apple and we will read it out on the show. And also I have to tell you about our Discord server. We have an awesome Discord server for all of our podcasts. We now host 4. We host this show, the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We host the Dragon Age Lorecast. Austin co-hosts the Holocron Histories, the Star Wars show. And we're fixing to launch very, very soon episodes of the Inheritance Cycle Page by Page. It's a book club podcast about Aragon and the Inheritance Cycle books. So the Discord server is home to all of those shows. And if you're in that server, that's where you get the first news. You get all the information. Any updates on our shows are going to go to that server first. So if you want to hear more, definitely come hang out with us. We have a great time over there. If you're also looking for new podcasts, you can join the Robots Radio server, and that's a great one for new shows. So all of those links are in the episode descriptions to the Patreon, to our servers, etc. So with that, Austin, I think that's everything I have, unless you have something else you want to add.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, let's get back to the show.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Today's top story, the flavor merger of the century between the Peanut Butter Group and Chocolatey Corp. Joining me is a PBC executive.
Thanks for having me, Barry.
Now, how did you know the merger and the byproduct of it, Jif peanut butter and chocolate flavored spread, would be a success?
You know, it was a gut feeling, a rumbling, if you will. Besides, they're two titans of taste.
Very true. Goes great with pretzels.
And pancakes.
Apples too, I bet. Try Jif PBC today.
In the time it takes us to say, we're using Folgers Instant Coffee, seamlessly blended with water and ice. A splash of whatever kind of milk is your thing. And gotta get that caramel drizzle. All to make a toasty, roasty, caramel iced coffee. You could be enjoying it. Every damn sip of it. Damn right. It's Folgers Instant.
And I know I was really nice to you, but actually I'm just another Templar plot twist. And yes, I would like very much for you to be controlled by a magic space wizard so that you can murder me.
I am not a father anymore. I am not a husband. I am not a Magi. I am a hidden one.
Yes. We are the hidden ones.
All right, so we talked about the first shroud. Now we're going to get on to the second shroud, which is the shroud that we actually encounter in game. And so we're just going to kind of tell a story we'll hear for. So around 1732, Edward Kenway discovers a shroud in a cache, and then he hides it in the Tower of London. Now, Shelby, you might find this one interesting. Prince Consort Albert in 1847 finds the shroud and he hides it in a vault under Buckingham Palace.
That's very interesting. And what year did you say?
1847. So kind of right in the middle of Victorian England.
That is interesting. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say about that, but I find it interesting.
I do think it doesn't tell us in the wiki if like Prince Albert was a friend to the assassins or not, but I think he would be. Like based on like what we know about him.
I mean, like history. Okay, to be fair, you've watched like 5 episodes of that show Victoria with me, and I think you're totally basing that only on his like opposition to slavery. Well, which I don't know if that's actual history or not. That show, I don't know.
Well, maybe he was opposed. I feel like making him opposed to slavery wouldn't be something that they would just make up.
That's fair.
Maybe. I don't know. I like to believe that's something that wouldn't just make up.
I don't know. They made up a whole romance for Queen Victoria, so.
But I do think it's interesting because, like, we don't hear a lot about Prince Albert, mainly because he dies pretty young.
He does die young. And I think he very much gets overshadowed by Queen Victoria, who was the longest reigning monarch in England until, like,
recently.
This year, literally this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that's interesting, but we don't have confirmation like whether or not he was an assassin or an ally to the assassins or anything like that.
Right. But I do think it's interesting, especially in the show Victoria, because Albert's always like, I need something to do.
Yes.
Well, you found
he did.
Yeah. But I thought you would find it interesting that Prince Albert is made by name.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, interesting. But it's interesting because later on, Queen Victoria does end up being an aide to the assassin. So it's interesting.
In what game does that come from?
Syndicate.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was from the 1800s.
Yeah, it takes place in Victorian England. It's like right around the time of the Civil War, because World War I is when you play as like Jacob's granddaughter. So that's 2 generations in between.
I guess I thought that it was later than that.
Yeah, I kind of classify it in this like turn of the century, but like it's the same time as Charles Darwin, as Karl Marx, as
I always feel like they're later than they are too.
Yeah. So later that year, or not that year, later in the same century, the shroud is discovered by Grand Templar or Templar Grandmaster Crawford Sterrick, who uses it to buff himself in a fight with the Fry twins. So the whole game of Syndicate is you're looking for this shroud and you're trying to stop Sterrick. And like, it's very interesting because the whole game is focused on the shroud and taking London back from the Templars, which I think is a big like goal for the assassins, because London has forever been this Templar stronghold.
Yeah. Since the time of Alfred.
Yeah, really. The Fry twins and Sterrick, they obviously like have a battle out about this, and they separate the shroud from Sterrick, and they're able to kill him. They reseal the shroud in the vault. In 2015, Otto Berg, who is an assassin hunter, like a hunter of assassins, Isabel Ardent and Violet DaCosta, all members of a Sigma Squad, who are specialized assassin hunters, they breach the vault in an attempt to get the shroud. They are met by assassins Sean Hastings, Rebecca Crane, and Galliana Vorina, who attempt to get the shroud. It's a big kind of fight. As they're fighting for the shroud, Ardent is killed by Sean, and Rebecca is wounded by Berg. However, even though one of them is killed, with the wounding of Rebecca, Sean is obviously like completely distracted from everything going on, and Berg and DaCosta take the shroud back to Abstergo. And so Abstergo at this point has been infiltrated by a group called the Instruments of the First Will. And now we'll go back into them for a minute, but I'm just going to take a brief moment to talk about them. The Instruments of the First Will are Juno worshippers in the main timeline. And their whole goal is to bring Juno back to a body. And they very much prize sages that are the reincarnation of Juno's lover, Aita.
Just why?
So they believe basically that they can bring Juno back and they'll be uplifted in Juno's new world order.
That's dumb. They've already enslaved humanity once. What is to stop them from doing it again?
I don't know. But anyway.
Wait, I'm not done. These are the same people that when you are in a horror movie and you see like the creepiest house on the street that has like ghosts and cobwebs and all kinds of crazy stuff, they're the ones that go in the basement.
Anyway, so they convince Abstergo's Phoenix Project to recreate a body for Juno, so that Juno can come back and be whatever and recreate the Isu genome and do all of that. This is interesting because I feel like I want to talk about the Order of Ancients for a moment, and how in the 9th century CE, Alfred is basically just like, we're just gonna like forget that whole like Isu thing, and we're not gonna really worship them anymore because there is only one God that we worship. And so Alfred kind of steers the Templars away from, they're still obsessed with pieces of Eden, but they're not really focused on like Isu idolization or trying to bring back the Isu, which the Order of Ancients was. They want to usher in the era of the Isu because they think they can take part in that power. With the instruments of the first will and this, we kind of see like, I feel like the instruments of the first will are just Templars who are like, we want to go back to this Isu kind of idolization. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I also, though, like every group that's like that, there's always at least one person that's like, okay, they're the ones that are out there. So they've got to have at least one person that is genuinely like, I want to worship Juno. I want to worship at her feet. Craziness.
The instruments of the first will, like I said, are often led by a sage. That is specifically the reincarnation of the Isu Aita, who is the lover of Juno. So there's your support for your theory.
Craziness.
At the present moment, just for a fun fact, the instruments of the first will are led by Desmond Miles' son, who is a sage.
Thanks. I hate it. Like, that's why. Why?
So this was Desmond.
I didn't even know Desmond had a son.
A lot of us didn't, but like it's a son from like kind of like a former relationship that was before he was abducted by Abstergo. So yeah, he has a son, and he leads the instruments of the first will. At least the last time we see him, I think. I'm not quite caught up on all the comics. So yeah, they convinced the Shroud. Well, listen, the assassins in the modern day timeline don't mess around with pieces of Eden. They're like, okay, like, no, Abstergo, you're not going to get these pieces of Eden. You're not going to resurrect an Isu. You're not going to do anything because you suck and we hate you. That's an understatement. But so they attack the Phoenix Squadron to try to stop them and get that. And this shroud is destroyed in the explosion of the lab, and actually destroyed.
So it's not seemingly destroyed. It really
No,
is.
it is not seemingly destroyed. It is destroyed. So both of the shrouds we've seen in game are seemingly just not seemingly are destroyed. So we don't know of a location of any other shroud.
But I see you have in the notes other shrouds, so it's possible that there are other shrouds in existence. We just don't know about them yet.
Correct. So, are you ready? We can get into the other shrouds.
No.
All right. So, I'm going to preface this. We have talked several times about how we feel about this, but let's not spend too much time about it because I'm going to tell you. Many biblical figures apparently possess Shrouds of Eden. Joseph, son of Jacob, so his multicolored coat was apparently a Shroud of Eden.
His multicolored coat? Wait, no, hold on. You mean his coat of many colors?
Yes, coat of many colors.
Thank you.
Anyway, King David wore a shroud when he fought against Goliath, which I guess the shroud gives superior strength. Jesus of Nazareth had a Shroud of Eden, and the Order of Ancients condemned him to recover it, like to try to recover it. It is unknown if all of these are the same shroud or 3 different artifacts, which is interesting to me. I think it would be interesting if it was the same shroud, just because of the lineage that's happening here.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You guys know, if you're listening, you know that I'm not a fan of this at all. But I think the only way I would be okay with it is if it was a shroud that was like passed down through his family throughout the years.
Right. So it's possible that Joseph would have given his coat and shroud to his brother Benjamin, which eventually that passes down, and David comes from the tribe of Benjamin, and King David is an ancestor of Joseph, Jesus's father, and Jesus. So, well, not Jesus's father, but Mary's husband, Jesus. Mary and Joseph is an ancestor of David, so it's possible that this shroud then hands to Jesus from the same family. I'm not sure. There's not a direct line to Joseph Joseph from Jesus, except for the fact that Benjamin was Joseph's brother. I'm rusty on my genealogies, but I'm pretty sure that is where it comes from. Well, that's possible. At least like they got some kind of genealogy going on here. But yeah, I don't like it. Mainly because like it's one thing to like surround and like create this myth around a culture, but like the way the Shroud is portrayed in that like the Shroud can't perform resurrection, you're taking a faith's central like event and miracle and saying no, it didn't happen.
But yeah, that's my whole issue with it. Like, and maybe, I don't know. I feel like I agree. It is wrong to take a faith's entire like premise of being and change it. And that's what they do with the resurrection. Like, that's not necessarily why Christianity exists, but is a major reason why. And like, that's a major defining factor of Christians today. And I guess I was going to say, I feel like the other shrouds are less impactful, but I think that that's like a really Christian worldview and way to think about it, because I feel like for someone who's Jewish to then have one of their patriarchs, one of their patriarchs and one of their most important characters in David, like to have their narratives changed too is also changing central tenets of a person's faith. It's not as easy, like it's not as much of a one-to-one characteristic, because like Jesus is the most important person for Christians. I feel like for Jewish people there's more than one, but like Jacob is a huge one, Joseph is huge, David is huge. These people are
all three of them.
Yeah, they're huge people in their faith tradition. So to change that just feels icky to me.
Mm-hmm. So that's those shrouds in 422 BCE. So this is before the birth of Christ, before the Common Era, as it's called. Cassandra Eaglebearer encounters an experimental replica of the Shroud in the Atlantis simulation. So again, this is like that Inception moment where Layla is experiencing a simulation of a simulation, which we can assume from what we knew earlier that Juno is attempting to try to replicate Shrouds, because I guess she wants to use it in her own way. And the last one, the hidden one, Ammon from Constantinople, was tasked with retrieving a Shroud of Eden from a merchant's palace in Bulgar. Due to interference by Sigurd, who is the adopted brother of Eivor, he would fail this mission. This is where Sigurd meets Basim, and the Shroud would remain in the palace as soldiers from the Order of Ancients approached. So the Order of Ancients has a Shroud, apparently, but we don't know what happens to that. And so that's really all we know about the Shrouds. Any last thoughts other than they're kind of creepy?
Once again, I go back to your statement that I think the headcanon of there are some Shrouds that were created by alternate Isu to free humanity. I think it's ever more enticing the more we talk about these. So it's becoming in that phase where it's like pseudo canon, like it's not real, but I believe it.
Right. Like that, comparable to other fandoms, that Knight Commander Gregor is Reese's father.
No, that's like more canon than it is headcanon.
That's true. So that's really it for the Shroud. We do have a little kind of thing we want to do really quickly, which is today, which is a Thursday, what we record. We want to talk about that they announced that Assassin's Creed Mirage is coming, which is the next installment of the game. I just want to share everything we know about it, which is there's some stuff that's been leaked, but this is what we know. We know that this is going to be kind of a prequel to Valhalla. This is going to follow Basim in kind of a location where we have all this happening. It is told and leaked rumored that this is a return to the AC roots and the classic AC, but that is just a rumor. We don't have any kind of confirmation of what that's going to be. We will find out more on September 10th, which we're very excited about. And I'm excited to learn more about this game. And this time period will be interesting. And if it doesn't come back to classic Assassin's Creed, I think it'll be a good thing for the series.
If it does come back to Assassin's Creed, like traditional,
like classic Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. I know there's a lot of heated debate over this subject in the fandom totally right now. But I'm fine with it either way, honestly. But I haven't played Valhalla yet, so depending on when they say they're going to release Mirage, like I gotta get going on these games, because I'm still not done with all of them. Right. But also other thing I thought about is the name is very interesting. And I know I have my BioWare brain on right now, but what if the rumor of it being a leak, or what if the leak of it's going back to the classic element and going away from the RPG elements, what if that in itself is a Mirage? Like, I don't know. I'm probably thinking about it too deeply.
Who knows? But we'll see. We'll keep up to date with any info we see. You can always hop into the Discord and talk to us about it. But yeah, that's what we know.
All right. Well, do we have anything else to talk about today?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. We will see you next time on the Assassin's Creed Lorecast.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. You can find us on Twitter at Assassin's Creed Lorecast, or you could talk to us on Discord in the Robots Radio Discord or our personal Discord server, both links found in this episode's descriptions. Thank you for listening, and always stay to the shadows to serve the light, Assassins. Thanks for listening to the Assassin's.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.
Are you a fan of Indiana Jones? How about someone who just enjoys an immersive story of historical fiction? If so, then the Indiana Jones Lorecast is the place for you. Join me, Sir Bandit, as we delve into the amazing and rich history of the Indiana Jones franchise, from the films and TV series to the novels, comics, and games. The show is available wherever you get your podcasts, so if you feel that call to adventure, you can come find me in my office. I'll see you there.